So it's an area where there's a lot of expertise. In fact, Tom Meyer at UNC is considered by many to be the godfather of that field. And so we're going to build on that. And I think with the expertise we have in translational research at RTI and other expertise at NC State and Duke, we can make it happen.
And tell me about the deal with Nissan and the Leaf that RTEC has, that we can get. I think the car is about to be delivered at the end of the year, and there is a first tranche that we have taps on. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand all the details of that either, but I know Vic Rao, who's my next-door neighbor here in the building, has been heavily active in that. We're fortunate here in the state that aside from the talent I've talked about in the universities and RTI, we've also got two utilities based here that are thought leaders, and particularly at Duke Energy, they've got a gentleman there who has been quite active in how the utility should work closely with automobile manufacturers to make plug-in hybrids a reality. So Vic coordinated an activity here and brought a number of people interested in the topic together for a meeting last year. Got Nissan and I think also General Motors involved in that. In fact, we had Alan Taub, the Chief Technical Officer of General Motors, actually sitting right there for a discussion on plug-in hybrids about a year and a half ago. And so they were able to tap into Nissan and get Nissan here pretty early in the game. And I think they actually had the first public demonstration of the Leaf here in Raleigh during his meeting, so it was quite impressive.
So does it mean that people can get it first here, or?
That I don't know. That we'd have to talk to Vic.
Okay.
Or Nissan.
Okay. And one thing I noticed, you're a chemical engineer by training, right?
Correct.
And I do get the impression that a majority of the energy-based or energy technologies under development at RTI are of a chemical rather than a biotech nature. Is that correct? And if so, is there a room for biotech in energy research? And if there is, where?
Okay, well, there absolutely is room for it, but you're correct in that today the majority of our energy program is based on kind of process chemical engineering. We have a number of other programs, including in photovoltaics and in thermoelectrics, basically converting waste heat into useful electricity. We've been in discussions, intense discussions, with our colleagues in the life sciences area here at RTI on how we actually couple kind of a life sciences approach to what we do in the chemical area. And we're actually looking to make a strategic hire within the next year to basically bring a life sciences component to what we do in the biofuels arena. Because they potentially together they can be very powerful, because you actually can do things to manipulate the plant itself. You can actually make it far more efficient in the downstream chemical processing, where we have a lot of expertise. We hired a guy named David Dayton, who you've met, who joined us from the National Renewable Energy Lab 3 years ago and established that program. So we wanted to just build kind of a comparable competency on the life science side of the house, which we intend to do in the next 6 months.
Okay. Any plans to work with industry like Novozymes on this too, on the biotech side?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what are your goals for the energy research at RTI and in the Triangle, and what kind of financial and organizational help do you need to meet those goals?
Well, I think the overriding goal is we want to really have an impact. I guess the one thing that unites everybody who's involved in energy research, and regardless of what technical discipline they come out of, is the desire to help solve the problem, which I think all of us, even as consumers or just as citizens, feel. So I think if we can really point to areas where we've really had a substantial impact on the energy problem, we'll all feel good about that, and that's the overriding goal. We have no set targets of how big we want to be, other than to say I think that we'd like it that when people list the top institutions in the world that are making a difference, that they would include RTEC and the institutions here as part of that. We'd like to be definitely considered in that upper echelon of companies that are being able to really make a contribution. I'd say that in terms of impediments to that being successful, I guess the one that causes us the most pain is cost sharing for DOE projects, which makes it sometimes difficult for an institution like ours. Sometimes when the Department of Energy funds 80% of the work, and you have to come up with the other 20%. And we are working on different mechanisms by which we solve that problem, and we're in discussions with the State Department of Commerce, and we're getting a lot of help from them as well. So this is a problem we will solve.
a lot of these programs have matching funds from the state.
The cost, yeah.
Right. Have you run into problems with the budget crisis that the state hasn't been able to quite match the funds, and you're having trouble then getting funding?
Well, we get actually very little of our matching funds from the state, but we found the state very willing to help us, and we're always pleased with the response we get from the folks in the Department of Commerce.
Okay.
Although the majority of those funds today come either out of RTI's internal funds, or we get from external sources and partnerships.
Okay.
And we have a lot of very important industrial partnerships, and typically that's where we would go first to get cost sharing.
Okay.
But whenever we've gone to the state for help, they've been generous with us.
Okay.